Exposed, the bride's shocking demand to remove a stranger during the unforgettable ceremony. Emma stood at the entrance of her grandmother's rustic farmhouse, the scent of fresh wildflowers wafting through the air, her heart thudding violently in her chest. Today was supposed to be a culmination of dreams, her wedding, her love transforming the legacy of her grandmother into a celebration of joy. Yet, the moment Jake's silhouette emerged from the crowd, dread coiled in her stomach like a snake ready to strike. The whispers began almost immediately, slicing through the warm golden light. She had built her life on resilience, rising from the daughter of a single mother who scratched and clawed for a better life. Now, as she prepared to pledge her future to Mark, doubts danced angrily in her mind. Could she convey loyalty and commitment to him while grappling with lingering feelings for someone from her past? Who was she really, when the bittersweet memories re-emerged, taunted by Jake's presence? A tension began to settle within her like a storm cloud, casting shadows over the brightness she had envisioned. "Emma," Mark's voice broke through her thoughts as he approached, his expression a mix of concern and confusion. Behind him, murmurs rippled through the guest list, many familiar faces questioning an uninvited specter. Emma could feel her palms moistening, the lace of her wedding dress constricting, the heirloom fabric representing her family's love, now felt like a heavy shackle. "Do you want me to speak to him?" Mark asked, but the suggestion clawed at her insides, igniting a flurry of insecurity. Would she be betraying him to entertain Jake's emotional claims? Her role as a nurse suddenly felt so far removed from this momentous day, yet the same principles applied. Every patient, every life she fought for, she poured her soul into understanding pain, compassion, and loyalty. But as she stood poised to commit herself to Mark, her heart flickered with fractured loyalty. Wasn't a part of her heart still with Jake? How could she explain feelings that shouldn't belong to her? The weight of hope and despair collided, building a crescendo, threatening to suffocate her. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emma, Jake's voice, smooth yet raw, cut through the distance between them, evoking memories of shared laughter and dreams of youthful naivety. "You know me better than anyone." It twisted like a knife. The very essence of their childhood connection floated back, reminding her of quiet evenings spent on the porch, dreaming of lives unknown. How was he here now, resurrecting feelings she had buried under layers of duty and expectation? Just as she steeled herself to confront the truth behind her jangling emotions, a shadow emerged from the past, a familial duty uncovered, threatening to uproot everything she built. The secrets entwined their lives irrevocably, casting an even darker pall over her already overwhelming heart. She was caught in a web more intricate than she ever anticipated, with the weight of every moment pressing down on her shoulders. In that harrowing bifurcation of loyalty and desire, Emma realized fate held the pen. Her wedding day was spiraling into a tempest. She stood at the precipice of self-discovery, desperate to create a future while confronting a past she thought had been firmly closed. With uncertainty hanging thick in the air, the tension peaked, and she hesitated, breath hitching as the room held its breath, all awaiting her next move, a choice looming before her, fraught with the potential to either destroy or redefine everything she had ever cherished. Time slowed as Emma's mind raced. The weight of her past and future pressed heavily on her chest. Could she truly follow through with the vows she had written, or was this moment predestined for disruption? The familiar sensation of being in control began to slip away, replaced by a sense of helplessness. "Emma," Mark tried again, his hand gently resting on her arm, a grounding presence amidst the chaos. But nothing could center her right now. She realized that every supportive gesture from him felt overshadowed by the certainty of Jake standing mere feet away, a ghost of her unfinished story. "Just give me a moment," she told Mark, the words tumbling out with more abruptness than she intended. She turned slightly, her heart thrumming as she faced the figure that had spun her into this emotional cyclone. "Why are you here, Jake?" She managed, her voice steadier than her heart. Each syllable felt like an accusation, steeped in years of unsaid things. "I came for you, Emma. To tell you that I'm sorry for everything," he replied, sincerity lacing his tone, yet laden with guilt. The years of separation had seared the innocence from their past, but deep down, part of her still craved resolution. As she stood before him, memories cascaded through her mind, the laughter, the shared dreams interrupted by the harsh realities of life. The precious lullabies and promises made under dim stars. She had detached herself from those feelings, convinced they were relics of a life she no longer represented. Yet here was Jake, shaking the fragile foundation of her carefully built present. Did he want her back? Was this about love, or merely a longing for what had been lost? Emma's pulse quickened as the self-doubt seeped in. Am I still that same girl who once dreamed of running away with him? Could she untangle her heart from the promises she'd made to Mark? Stevens, her mentor and a voice of reason within her, often remarked, "Emotions aren't deterministic, Emma. They're reactions, signals of our needs and fears." But could she reconcile her emotional turmoil without destroying those she cared for? "Look, I need to think about this," she finally uttered, uncertainty underscoring her words. A murmur of concern rippled through the gathered guests, each one a spectator in her private theater of conflict. Mark looked torn. "Emma, I love you. I can't lose you to him. We had plans, a future." His voice was steadier than she expected, conviction layered over palpable fear. As she searched his eyes, lingering doubt crept in. The nurse in her could diagnose the anguish reflected back, and yet here she was, grappling with her own emotional illness. She had always put others first, but this was a moment requiring radical honesty. "Don't you see?" she said, desperation surfacing. "I can't keep lying to myself. I need to face this, whatever this is." It was liberating, demanding clarity. Would she allow the past to dictate her future or claim her independence and define who she truly was? Decision time loomed, and she had to tighten her grip on what mattered most: stability, love, and the promise of a brighter horizon. With indigenous will, she made up her mind, setting herself free from indecision. "Mark, I need a moment," she whispered, stepping toward Jake, leaving Mark's watchful gaze behind. "And you need to speak the truth about everything." As she entered the vortex of past emotions, she took deep breaths, her resolve strengthening. Would confronting the man who once held her heart provide clarity or more chaos? With every step into the unknown, she recognized the stakes had never been higher. The time had come to face the memories, and perhaps ultimately herself. Emma moved closer to Jake, the air between them thick with unspoken words. Each step felt heavy, as if the weight of her decisions was pulling her down. Her heart thrashed in her chest, pounding against the walls she'd constructed around her past. Was this moment truly about resolving feelings, or was it a confrontation with the very essence of who she had become? "Can you handle the truth?" she challenged, her voice trembling with both defiance and fear. It was a bold move, a declaration that she was no longer the submissive character in her own narrative. Jake's eyes flickered with surprise, clearly not expecting such a demand. "Emma," he started, but she raised her hand, halting his words. "No. You've had years to prepare whatever words you think will fix this. I need to hear everything, the good, the bad, all of it. If I'm going to move forward, it can't be built on shadows." Jake nodded slowly, the sincerity returning to his demeanor. "You deserve that, and I owe you more than just apologies." Standing before him, Emma felt her resolve crystallizing like ice taking form on a winter morning. Memories swirled, but she fought to center her focus back to the present. This wasn't merely about piecing together a lost romance but about carving out her identity from the remnants of those relationships. She wasn't the girl who ran away anymore, she was a woman who had fought for her own space in this world. The surrounding guests, their gazes like daggers, added a surreal weight, once again making her acutely aware of their scrutiny. But she breathed through it, channeling that awareness into strength. She was a nurse, a caretaker, trained to tend to the most vulnerable. Now, here she was, needing to care for her own heart. "Do you remember our last conversation?" Jake's voice broke through her thoughts, a hint of longing in his tone. We promised to always be honest with each other. I remember it well, she interjected, her mood sharpening. And I remember how easily you broke that promise. She watched his expression harden slightly, but she maintained her gaze, ready for the truth. The truth is, he commenced, I was so wrapped up in my fears, I let you slip away without fighting for us. I thought it would hurt less if I accepted your decision, but it only fueled my regrets. I don't want to go back to that place, I want to own my mistakes. As his words dripped with regret, Emma grappled with the reality of his admission. There was bravery in honesty, yet uncertainty bubbled beneath her surface. This was not just about Jake's failings but about taking responsibility for her own choices. Those mistakes we made still impact us, Jake. I've built a life around the lessons from our past. She paused, gathering her thoughts like strings of yarn. I can't undo what's done, but I also can't leap blindly into something familiar because it's comfortable. The weight of her words hung in the air, conviction surged through her as she embraced the wisdom gained from her experiences. She had not just been a passive participant in her life, but a fighter. Mark cares for me. You have to understand that. For a moment, she saw the flicker of something in Jake, perhaps an acknowledgement of her growth, her choices. I won't fight you for your heart, Jake murmured, surprising her. But I am fighting for honesty. We owe each other that. Emma searched his eyes for the sincerity she needed to feel stable in the moment. Are you willing to confront what has been left unsaid? Absolutely, he replied, firm in his determination. The stakes climbed higher. This moment was not merely a confrontation with Jake but a test of her own beliefs and commitments. Where would she draw the line? How could she ensure that this exchange didn't become a derailment of her carefully lined path? As the truth loomed, something shifted in the atmosphere. It was a crossroads moment. Beyond this discussion lay revelations that could shatter what she knew, or perhaps rebuild it stronger. Then let us begin, she said, her voice clear with purpose. Emma felt herself standing on the precipice of transformation, her life's course about to pivot drastically. But she remained aware of another truth: the emotional toll of unearthing everything was about to bear down on her. Could she truly handle what lay beneath the surface? The sharp edge of anticipation tingled across her spine as she prepared herself for whatever revelations would arise. The air was thick with tension as Emma and Jake prepared to unravel the complexities of their shared history. But what further revelations, buried beneath layers of regret, awaited them? Emma braced herself, emotions swirling like a storm within her. Every fiber of her being screamed to retreat, to fold into the comfort of denial and silence. Yet she stood resolute, anchored by the knowledge that uncovering the truth was the only way to reclaim her narrative. All right, Jake began, leaning slightly forward, his brow furrowing as if he were conjuring up long-buried memories. It starts with that night, the one that changed everything. I should have listened to you. His eyes searched hers, seeking forgiveness, or perhaps validation. Emma remained still. The concepts of blame and apology exploded in her mind like firecrackers in the night. You didn't just fail to listen, Jake. You shut me out completely. The confidence she felt when she had confronted him slowly steered into a wave of vulnerability. I thought if I ignored it, it would go away, he confessed. But you don't just forget about someone like you. Her vulnerability turned into a furious resolve. And I can't forget what your silence cost me. You may think it's just about us, but it's also about how much of myself I lost in the midst of it. Each word she spoke was tinged with the pain of suppressed feelings and lost opportunities. Emma exhaled slowly, feeling weight lift off her chest. She was not only confronting Jake, she was exposing parts of herself that had been shrouded in doubt. You realize now that's the mistake you just can't ignore? Absolutely. With renewed conviction, Emma continued. Moving forward isn't merely about rekindling what once was. I've discovered things about myself, lessons woven from heartbreak and resilience. A flicker of remorse in Jake's expression indicated he understood the weight of her words. Emma had grown, built on her failures. Now she stood here with far more than just memories of what was, she had gained a deeper sense of identity, and Jake's admission only intensified her resolve. "Do you think I wanted to leave?" "I thought I was doing what was best," she said, the frustration spiking in her voice. "But the truth is, it was a coward's choice. I thought removing myself would suppress the pain. I was wrong. I want you to know," he said earnestly, "that I'm not the same man who let you walk away. I've changed, Emma." The conviction in his statement offered a heaviness, pushing Emma's thoughts deeper. Change isn't just saying you're different, it's about actions aligning with words. Each syllable dripped with yearning for genuine clarity and expression of what she needed to hear. Jake nodded as if he was absorbing every drop of her wisdom. "Then let us embrace the discomfort," he offered. "Let us not dance around this. I'm ready for the hard truths." Their eyes locked, a moment laden with mutual understanding and the echo of unfulfilled promises. Emma struggled with the shift. Could change flourish from honest confrontation? Could their past be the soil in which new growth could take root? "Okay, but the truth will not be easy. We need to dissect everything, including my doubts about who I've become." A chill settled over them, curling in the crevices of her concerns. "I can no longer afford the luxury of being passive in my own life. I've built new dreams, ones that don't rely on whether or not you're in them." Jake's features tensed, grappling with the truth of her words. "And what if you discover the very things you've built are nothing without me?" Her heart squeezed at the prospect of his question. It was a thread of fear that suddenly tonalized her confidence, raising doubts she thought she'd tucked away. Nevertheless, she shoved them aside, preserving her intention. "That's the journey of discovery I must undertake. I cannot choose comfort this time." In that charged space between them, Emma felt a flicker of hope. She was reclaiming her narrative layer by layer. Confrontation, she realized, was not just about truths emerging but a reaffirmation of agency. She was here not merely to dissect their past but also to challenge herself, an evolution pressed against a beautiful, chaotic backdrop of honesty. The current between them shifted, becoming palpable as they both bore the weight of revelation. "How much of what you've said have you reflected on? Are you ready to accept the consequences of these truths?" Before Jake could respond, Emma heard a ringing in her pocket, a message, an intrusion into this pivotal moment that stirred her curiosity. As she pulled out her phone, a frown creased her brow. It was from Mark, and it demanded her immediate attention. "Things are getting complicated," she murmured, the sudden clash of past and present ringing fiercely in her ears. As Jake watched her closely, something clicked in her mind, igniting questions that connected her relationships and her evolution. The truth was a tool, and Emma finally understood the gravity of wielding it. But how much of her emerging clarity would she be willing to share with Mark, and what would that mean for each relationship? Riding on the edge of a knife's peril, Emma felt the tension build. She was ready to face the truth, but as the phone buzzed again, a gnawing trepidation fluttered in her gut. Would she be able to balance her emotional upheavals with the responsibilities toward her present? The moment was thick with uncertainty, but she couldn't ignore the implications of what lay ahead. What awaited her on the other side of this decision? The sharp ping of the notification dragged Emma back into the present, the tension in the air thickening around her. She glanced down at her phone, the anxious knot in her stomach tightening as she read Mark's message for the third time. Words swam in her mind, each syllable echoing the dissension between what she felt and what was required of her. "Can we talk?" 3 simple words, yet they held the weight of everything she had tried to compartmentalize. A call to action crystallized her reality. She was not just grappling with her past with Jake, but now caught in the swirling currents of her current relationship. The skillful balancing act of honesty and responsibility became paramount. "I'm sorry, Jake," she said, her voice carefully measured. "I have to take this." As she turned away, the nuance of their conversation hung, suspended like brittle glass, threatening to shatter at any moment. She stepped outside, the cool air hitting her face like a bucket of ice water. As she walked toward a secluded corner, the shadows of the trees loomed like the emotional distance she felt, imposing, yet safe. Emma's mind raced, the interplay of her feelings for Mark, alongside the painful truths she had just unearthed with Jake, collided violently. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting mottled patterns on the ground, mirroring her chaotic thoughts. Do I owe Mark an explanation? She wondered. Would disclosing the ongoing tension with Jake empower or burden her? Could she balance her newfound courage with the expectations of another? She pressed the button to call him, her heart pounding in her chest, the dialogue spinning in her mind. How would she frame her feelings? This is what I should focus on, she reminded herself, a jolting whisper cutting through the fog of uncertainty. As soon as Mark picked up, his voice crackled through the phone, steady yet distant. Emma, I need to talk. It's important. His tone conveyed urgency, sending her instincts into overdrive. What is going on, Mark? She asked, leaning against the cool bark of an oak tree, seeking steady ground amid the emotional tumult. It's about your sudden change in demeanor. I feel like there's something you're not telling me. Each word landed like a hammer, forcing her to confront the reality of her own ambiguity. She had struggled to provide clarity to others while wrestling with her truths. I've been reflecting on a lot of things. Things with Jake are complicated, she admitted, feeling the tension alight in her chest. There was a moment of silence. Then Mark spoke softly. Complicated how? Are you still hung up on him? The question felt like a slap, raw and unfiltered. No. It's not about that. It's about understanding what happened and understanding myself. Emma took a deep breath, a flicker of defiance emerging within her. This isn't just about him, it's about me. I get that. But if you're not moving forward, then where does that leave us? His tone darkened, revealing vulnerability she hadn't seen before. Her heart twinged. I need to explore who I am outside of these relationships. I can't be only half invested in my life. As the weight of her own words settled in, Emma could feel the balance of her identity shifting. It was not merely about clarity, this was her emergence from the chrysalis of self-doubt into a more vibrant being. She wasn't the same naive girl who believed love was all she needed. Emma, I want to understand, Mark replied, and for a brief moment, hope flickered. But I also need to know if you're still someone I can plan a future with. The juxtaposition of his calmness against the storm of her self-exploration sent a tremor through her resolve. I can't answer that yet, and I can't promise anything. Not until I am whole. There was hesitation on the other end. I'll wait, but I can't put my life on hold forever. As the call ended, Emma felt the enormity of her words. She had been tested, part of her wanted to return to the safety of what was comfortable, while another part demanded she forge ahead into the unknown. Jake's presence loomed in her mind, whispering promises of reconciliation, while Mark represented stability tinged with uncertainty. Emma could feel the delicate web she was weaving, acknowledgement of her past looming heavy against the newfound aspirations. Stepping back from the tree, she saw the world around her emerge anew. It was not just the same landscape, but transformed. There lay opportunity, fresh and bright, mingled with shadows of her past choices. Yet a lingering question hovered, like an unsolved riddle. Did pursuing her truth mean she had to give up the relationships that had defined her? And how would she reconcile the fragments of herself caught between the past and future? Striding back towards Jake, she felt her resolve hardening. This is just the beginning, she whispered to herself before stepping over the threshold of self-discovery once more. What revelations awaited her as she continued to navigate the delicate dance of love, understanding, and growth? Emma felt a rush of determination. She wouldn't shy away from the challenges ahead. However, as she squared her shoulders in preparation for the next conversation with Jake, she couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest truths were yet to reveal themselves. The late afternoon sun hung low, casting long shadows as Emma approached Jake. Anxiety prickled her skin, each step a reminder of the challenges looming ahead. Her heart thundered, echoing the intensity of the internal battle stirring within her. She couldn't shake the feeling that this conversation would alter the course of her life. As she reached the familiar bench where they often sat, Jake looked up, a mixture of hope and apprehension in his eyes. "Hey," he said softly, as he gestured for her to sit. "I was worried Jake, I need to talk," Emma interjected, her voice steadier than she felt. She could see the tension tighten his jaw, but she had to expose her reality, navigate through the complexities of their relationship, and reclaim her voice. Is it about Mark? He asked, a flicker of something crossed his face, a blend of curiosity and hurt. It's about us. Her words hung in the air, weighty and significant. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I've realized I need to confront some truths, about myself and about what's been happening. Jake's expression shifted, a mix of concern and vulnerability seeping into his features. I know things have been rough since we broke up, but I thought we were trying to find our way back to each other, he confessed, eyes earnest. I just don't see how exactly. Emma interrupted, the urgency of her truth breaking free like lava erupting from a volcano. I can't go back to that place, Jake. I can't. We need to untangle whatever we had and understand why it fell apart in the first place. It's about me finding out who I am on my own. Each word felt like a slice through the tension tethering them to the past. Jake's confusion morphed into a deeper understanding, but she could see the hurt flickering behind his eyes. But what about us, Emma? Are you saying you don't want this? Us? I don't know what I want, she confessed, her honesty raw. And that terrifies me. Momentarily silenced, she felt the weight of her honesty pouring out like a storm. With Mark he wants to plan a future. The implications of the words hung between them, electric. Suddenly, they were no longer just Emma and Jake, they were two people standing on shifting ground, grappling with the realities of their emotions. Emma could feel a palpable shift, a lifting veil. It was frightening yet liberating. Is Mark what you want? Jake asked, redirecting. There was a tremor in his voice, the raw vulnerability radiating through their connection. Or are you just drawn to the idea of something stable? Emma's breath caught as the question sliced through her emotional fog. I don't even know, she admitted, her hands clenching nervously in her lap. I thought I wanted the safety he represents, yet here I am with you, grappling with feelings and memories. It's so confusing. Jake leaned back, absorbing her words. So it's not just me, this uncertainty is real for you too? We're both feeling our way through this. Yes, she replied, a sense of relief flooding through her, albeit mixed with fear. I'm owning the messiness of it. But I can't give you false hope anymore. I need to clear away the way I've been thinking about this relationship. The silence that followed was thick with unspoken truths. Jake looked down, processing, and Emma felt the walls around them beginning to crumble. Maybe this conversation wouldn't resolve everything, but it was a powerful step toward her independence and authenticity. As the shadows grew longer, Emma realized this was not just about her relationship with Jake, but also about her newfound desire to understand herself fully, her needs, dreams, and the paths that lay ahead. Each revelation felt like a stone being lifted from her chest, creating space for clarity amidst the emotional debris. I want you to be happy, Emma, Jake finally said, though sadness draped across his words. Even if it doesn't include me. She nodded, her heart aching at the honesty shared. I want that too, even if it means facing uncertainty alone, she replied softly. As darkness started to cloak the surrounding scene, Emma felt a flicker of resilience growing within her. I'm just beginning to find my way, Jake. And I need time to do that, she clarified, anchored in her commitment to self-discovery. But what shadows lingered ahead? How would she navigate this newfound space amidst complex emotions and potential heartbreak? Emma squared her shoulders, uncertain yet determined to confront whatever awaited her in uncharted territory. The journey had only just begun, and she could feel the intimacy of self-liberation and the unknown drawing her deeper into the heart of her personal discovery. What lay beyond the horizon of her heart's quests? The chill of the evening air brushed against Emma's skin as she walked away from Jake, carrying the weight of their conversation like a newly forged armor. With each step, her mind spun, thoughts colliding in a chaotic dance. The uncertainty she felt moments ago began to morph into a vibrant energy, a realization that she could shape her own narrative, despite the complexity of her feelings for both Jake and Mark. She reached a dimly lit cafe a few blocks away, its warm glow inviting. As she stepped inside, the rich aroma of coffee filled the air, mingling with the soft murmurs of patrons engaged in hushed conversations. Emma felt the flicker of excitement tingle in her chest. Here was a space away from her emotional turmoil, a sanctuary to regroup. Settling into a corner booth, she drew her notebook from her bag, the blank pages a canvas for her thoughts. She needed to process everything: the crushing weight of expectations, the fear of disappointing others, and the necessity of confronting the unknown future. With each stroke of her pen, she crafted a list. What do I want? At first, the ideas flowed with ease. She wanted autonomy, to explore aspects of herself that had lain dormant. She wanted to pursue art, to dance, to travel, to embrace all the vibrant experiences life had to offer. Yet, as she continued, a sense of dread seeped in, making it harder to pen each word. Every desire seemed tainted by the looming shadows of her relationships. What if following her dreams meant leaving people behind? Emma paused, biting her lip. The very act of wanting felt fraught with guilt. Mark had been her rock, steady and unwavering, eager to create a future with her. Yet, did that vision include the wild heart of who she was? Those dreams brushed with the sunlight of freedom, threatened to clash against the opaque fate of sameness she feared from settling down too soon. The clinking of mugs and hushed laughter drew her attention away. A table nearby was filled with friends celebrating a birthday. Their joy was infectious, and she found herself smiling at their exuberance. It struck her then life wasn't solely about choosing one path over the other. It was about the rich tapestry of experiences, relationships, and opportunities that defined her journey. Through the din of laughter, a stifled inner voice demanded to be heard. What are you truly afraid of, Emma? The question echoed within her, a gentle nudge but also a stern challenge. What if the real fear wasn't about loving Mark or Jake, but rather the risk of losing herself amidst the comfort of their existence? Resolutely, she returned to her notebook. She began a new list. What if? What if she chased after the art classes she had long admired? What if she explored the world, dipping her toes in various cultures and experiences? As the ink flowed, her mind began to quiet, replaced by the surging excitement of possibility. She also acknowledged the pain that would come with such choices: the potential loss of Jake, the fear of disappointing Mark. Yet, she understood now that seeking fulfillment didn't equate to abandoning those she cared about. It was hinging on personal growth that would ultimately lead to healthier connections. With a newfound clarity, Emma resolved to communicate her intentions to both Jake and Mark, to stand firm in her autonomy while navigating through the emotional upheaval she would inevitably cause. It wouldn't be easy, but embracing her journey required her voice, a beacon leading her through the darkness. As she finished writing, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the window, determined, yet vulnerable. The night ahead was uncertain, but she felt equipped to face it. The dynamic current of her self-discovery flowed stronger than ever. What would her conversations with Mark and Jake reveal? Could they understand her need for space and exploration? Each question simmered in her mind, and she realized she was at the brink of something transformative, poised between the safety of familiar comforts and the thrilling, chaotic adventure of self-discovery. And with that realization came the exhilarating call of the unknown, beckoning her toward an imminent confrontation. Would she find the strength to stand for her own needs when faced with their reactions? Emma stepped back into the chilling embrace of the night, her heart racing as thoughts flitted through her mind like fireflies. The cafe's warmth faded as soon as she left, replaced by the cool air that felt both revitalizing and intimidating. Each step toward Jake's apartment felt monumental, the weight of her intentions pressing against her chest. She envisioned the conversation twisting and turning like a fraying rope. What if he didn't understand her need for space? What if he saw it as a rejection? Dread threatened to seep into her resolve, but she forced herself to focus. The time had come to express her truth, that crucial moment of transformation she had been anticipating ever since she recognized her desires. As she arrived at Jake's door, she hesitated, hand poised to knock. Deep breaths calmed her racing heart. She caught sight of her reflection again, this time illuminated by the dim hallway light. I deserve this, she whispered softly to herself, an affirmation against her swirling uncertainties. When Jake finally opened the door, his warm smile swept over her like a blanket on a winter night. Hey, I was just thinking about you, he said, genuine warmth lighting up his features. Emma's stomach twisted, an enticing mix of affection and apprehension. The very comfort she craved from him intensified her anxieties. Do you mind if we talk? She asked, her voice steady yet filled with suppressed emotion. She stepped inside, noting the familiar scent of aftershave mingling with freshly washed linens. The comfort of his space wrapped around her, but it was an illusion she knew she had to break. Of course, everything okay? He asked, furrowing his brow. His concern coaxed her heart into tumultuous territory. With a quick breath, Emma braced herself. I've been thinking about us. The words fell from her lips, heavier than she anticipated. I want to pursue my interests, my independence. I need to find out what I really want, for myself. There, in that moment suspended between truth and consequence, Emma felt the turbulence of her own vulnerability. Jake's expression flickered a mix of confusion and concern. Are you saying you want to break up? No. The panic in her voice surprised her too. This isn't about leaving you. It's about figuring out who I am. She struggled to articulate her vision, searching his eyes for understanding rather than resistance. Jake's gaze softened, but doubt lingered in his eyes. I love you, Emma. I thought we were building a life together. His voice trembled, tinged with raw emotion. I'm scared of what this means. I love you too, Emma pleaded, her heart aching at the hurt in his voice. But loving someone doesn't mean losing myself in the process. What if more space for me could mean a stronger us down the line? Silence stretched between them, heavy and electric. Emma's pulse quickened as time seemed to fracture, expanding and contracting, echoing their unspoken fears. Would his love be wide enough to encompass her growing desire for independence, or would it suffocate her? Can you understand that? She whispered, a blend of hope and fear mingling in her chest. Jake remained silent for a moment, his brow furrowed in deep thought. What if I don't want a future like that? His honesty pierced through her, but she recognized this was a pivotal moment. This was the confrontation she had feared, yet desperately needed, a chance to lay her desires bare. Emma felt an unfamiliar clarity washing over her. Then we have to figure it out. Together or apart. I just want to lose myself, Jake. Not like this. As she spoke, she realized she had uncovered a strength she never fully acknowledged. The uncertainty still coiled tightly in her chest, but a flicker of determination ignited within her. Showing her authentic self was not just a risk, it was a necessity. The room felt charged with unspoken questions, lingering emotions clamoring for resolution. Whatever they decided, they were at a crossroads, and their choices would define this moment forever. How would Jake respond? Would he embrace her journey, or view it as betrayal? With her heart in her throat, Emma braced herself, knowing the following moments would unravel the core of their connection and perhaps change everything. The heavy silence continued to stretch, creating an uncomfortable weight in the air. Emma felt the heat rising within her, a swirl of adrenaline and uncertainty. She was standing at the precipice of something she could not control. She had laid her truth bare, yet the response from Jake felt like a maze of emotional pitfalls. Finally, Jake broke the stillness, his voice steady yet laced with hesitation. I don't know what that looks like for us. You want to chase after independence, but we've built so much together. Does that mean you're willing to sacrifice us? Your dreams, they're important, but so is what we have. His words struck Emma like a thunderclap, echoing in her mind. She had anticipated resistance, but was this really a threat to their relationship? She felt the instinct to retreat, to reassure him that she wouldn't abandon him, but she realized that retreating was not an option now. Jake, I'm not trying to chase you away, she answered, deliberately choosing her words. I need to explore my passions, art, travel, my career without feeling like I'm abandoning our relationship. Every time I put my aspirations on the back burner, I lose a piece of myself. And I don't want to become someone who resents the very love I cherish. Jake's brows knitted together, and Emma could see the turmoil reflected on his face. For the first time, she noticed a flicker of respect threaded with pain. Perhaps he was beginning to understand her. What if it changes everything? What if you find something you love more than this? His question hung heavily between them, daring Emma to confront a fear she had buried deep within her. Raising her chin, Emma considered her response carefully. Then I'd have to be honest about that too. But change doesn't have to mean erasing our foundation. It can mean growing, evolving together in a new way. Clouds of conflict whipped across Jake's face, morphing into introspection. He remained quiet, and she grasped the opportunity to articulate the complexity of her emotions. Our lives can still intertwine even if I step away to figure out myself. It doesn't mean I don't love you, but rather I hold us in the highest regard. The air shifted, and Emma sensed a turning tide. The twist in Jake's expression suggested he was grappling with a realization. Here, in this charged moment, she acknowledged the depth of vulnerability she felt, a stark contrast to the walls she'd previously erected around her heart. I know I have to prove to myself that I can stand alone, but I also need to know that you can support me in this journey. I won't be whole if I'm only defined by what we create together, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. As Emma spoke, she felt liberated. The truth she laid out wasn't simply about pushing herself away from their partnership but about embracing the complexities of both love and self-identity. Jake finally looked directly into her eyes, and for the first time, she saw the potential for reconciliation. His gaze softened, a mixture of pride and fear shimmering in his expression. So, what does that mean? How do we navigate this? Emma smiled faintly, her heart racing with the potential of collaboration rather than division. We'll figure it out together, step by step. Just like we've always done. The weight of unspoken fears within her gradually lifted, revealing a glimmer of hope. But as the conversation began to shift toward possibilities, she realized the conversation had only begun. The road ahead would be riddled with challenges as they both faced the implications of this new understanding, their lives forever marred by questions of balance and individuality. Will you be willing to really trust me in this? She asked, the doubt creeping back in. As Jake's face contorted with the weight of her question, Emma felt the adrenaline of uncertainty ebb and flow. Would he be ready to embrace not only her journey of self-discovery but also the potential shifts in their relationship? Would this pathway herald a stronger bond or shatter their once solid foundation into irreparable pieces? With her heart pounding, Emma waited for his answer, understanding that a decision loomed ahead, one that would change everything. Emma stood before the expansive mirror in her grandmother's farmhouse, the reflection staring back at her perceived an undeniable transformation. The woman who looked back was no longer cloaked in self-doubt or fear, she radiated a newfound strength, forged from vulnerability and honesty. Today marked a pivotal milestone, not just in her life but in her heart. After dismantling her fears, she faced Jake and Mark with clarity and purpose. She had chosen to seek her truth, and the expression of that truth was a testament to her personal evolution. As the sun sank low, embracing a soft amber hue, Emma gathered her courage and decided to wrap up a series of essential conversations. She sought Jake first. The unresolved past that nudged at her heart had to be reconciled. With each step toward him, she felt empowered by the clarity she had cultivated. Emma knocked on Jake's door, pulse steady but her heart racing. She knew this was not merely a conversation. This was a crucial chapter of her life, an opportunity to embody the lessons learned from their shared experiences. Jake opened the door and stood before her, eyes wide with anticipation. Emma, he breathed, a mix of relief and apprehension washing over him. I wasn't sure if you would come. Of course, I came, she replied, resonating authenticity in every syllable. I need to talk. About everything. Let us talk then. Jake ushered her inside, this time with an open heart. Taking a seat, Emma laid her cards on the table, her voice steady. Jake, I've spent time grappling with who I am without you. And I realize that while we share a beautiful history, I can't burden our future with the weight of unexamined emotions. Jake's face turned solemn, absorbing her words. What are you saying? He prompted, searching her eyes for answers that danced just out of reach. I'm saying that I want to honor what we had. But I also need to carve out a space for myself, away from the shadows of our past. A knot twisted in her stomach, but she continued, determined. This isn't about losing you, it's about building myself, defining who I will become, whether with you or without you. I have allowed my dreams to get buried beneath expectations for too long. Jake's eyes softened and a breath escaped his lips, a sigh of resignation, perhaps. But I love you, Emma. We can work through this together, can't we? There are parts of me I haven't explored, parts I want to understand before I can commit to anyone, even you. This is more than a relationship for me, it's my identity. The weight of her words filled the room with sincerity. Each syllable reinforced her need for autonomy. Is it really that simple? Jake asked quietly, a mixture of admiration and hurt etched in his features. You mean to say you're ready to step away from us to pursue independence? I am ready to embrace the beauty of that uncertainty, Emma replied, her voice laced with renewed confidence. This journey is essential for me to become whole. Maybe one day, we will intersect again. At that moment, Jake shifted, the vulnerability that had held sway began to morph into acceptance. The recognition of Emma's growth brought forth a wave of understanding, as he battled the feelings of loss. I want that for you, he murmured, offer bittersweet. But it hurts. I know, she whispered, acknowledging the weight of his pain. But my honesty is rooted in love. I will cherish what we shared for eternity. I just cannot let it define my future. They shared a silence filled with the shadow of the inevitable. Their relationship would change, but emerging from the murky depths created a new dawn for both. Tears pooled in Jake's eyes, yet a trace of gratitude sparked amidst their shared heartache. For the first time in a long time, he nodded, acceptance dawning upon him. Then let us keep the door open for possibility, Emma, for both of us. With a heavy heart, Emma moved away from Jake's embrace, conscious of the significance of closure and letting go. She turned toward her next confrontation. The dialogue with Mark awaited her. This would be a different conversation, one anchored in love, yet completely different from her past's way. Mark sat at the cafe table, scanning the crowd. The warmth of his smile cut through her uncertainty as she drew closer. Hey, you made it, he said, the glimmer of hope evident. Mark, I've been reflecting on our relationship and what I want, she began, her steady heartbeat guiding her through the necessary truth. I value your love, but I realize I need to allow myself space for personal growth. Mark's brow furrowed momentarily, processing her words. You're saying I should just accept that you need to step back? Isn't that a way of pushing me away? No, it's opening a path. I want to grow independently to be the best version of myself. If we're going to have a future together, it must include the pursuit of our own dreams. And I can't ask you to wait indefinitely while I navigate this journey, she articulated, resolute. He paused, weighing her truth against his expectations. It's hard, Emma, he whispered, vulnerability pouring forth. But I want you to be happy, by your definition. Emma felt a swell of pride at his response, acknowledging the maturity blooming before her. With your understanding, I believe we can explore the depths of our bond in new ways, she announced. But I need to embrace the journey ahead untethered. The ambient sounds of the cafe faded into the background as Emma realized she had come full circle. Mark's acceptance renewed their bond instead of shattering it. As the evening sky deepened into twilight, Emma embraced the exhilarating blend of apprehension and excitement that filled her heart. Though uncertain, she took confident steps towards self-discovery, a testament to the woman she had become, ready to face the unknown with open arms. Emma had waged an internal war, venturing into uncharted realms of growth, all culminating in one concrete resolution: she would claim her life. She emerged not as a ghost of her past, but a vibrant force, the narrative of her life unfolding with freedom and integrity. And in that moment, she understood the depths of personal achievement, emerging infused with a spirit that would navigate love, loss, and the exhilarating hum of undeniable potential. Therein lay the power of transformation, rooted in courage, clarity, and the heart's unwavering pursuit of authenticity. Now, this is your turn to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is crucial. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Your perspectives matter. Share instantly this video with 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.